y'all. So today I want to welcome you to Agree to Disagree with Iesha G. And I am today's host. My name is Iesha G, and we're going to be having an open conversation. And today I have a guest, and I'll let him introduce himself, and we'll get into the convo.
Hey, YouTube, I'm Rico the Artist.
Okay, you're Rico the Artist. And when you say artist, what does that mean? What type of artist?
So I'm really just into like creating in general. So like it's really all types of art, from it's mainly all visual like different types of visual art.
So you say like tattoos, drawing. Is that some of your art behind you?
Yeah, it is. I also do paintings, I do art shows, I do murals, and I do like logos.
Okay.
So just anything, a lot of things that of art just.
Okay, got you. So you say that you're an artist and you say that you like to do all type of visual. What drives you to be creative?
So I feel like art is everywhere, like I watch a lot of movies, I listen to a lot of music, and I can be inspired by a vast amount of things, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I hear a song and I hear like one part of a song and I'm like, man, like it's kind of relatable, and then I'll like kind of convert it into like a painting or something. So I actually heard it was a J. Cole song. It was I'm not sure the name of it, but he was saying how it was beauty in the struggle. So I painted something. It was like a battlefield, but it was a flower like that was unscathed. Like everything else was like pretty much destroyed for the most part. And you have like this flower that's like thriving, you know what I mean? And like in the middle of a battlefield. So just stuff as simple as that can be inspiring to me.
Okay, so let's talk about let's go kind of back. Let's talk about Rico the Artist as
Right.
a young child. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about your background, kind of, where you're from, your family from, and how does that work?
So me, I'm from Houston. My mother, she's from Louisiana, but she moved to Houston when she was fairly young. My dad, he wasn't in my life physically, because he's not from here. He's an immigrant, so he had issues with like papers and like legal stuff like that. So he wasn't around physically. We spoke to him often, and video calls like such as this one, like before Zoom was a thing.
Okay.
But and you said my background, where I'm from Houston. I moved around a lot as a child, but essentially I grew up in Missouri City.
Okay. So with your mom, and your mom is from United States, America?
Yeah, she
Okay.
from the United States.
So your mom is from here, your dad's from somewhere else.
Right.
And because of the distance, your dad really wasn't here physically. Do you feel
Right.
as though that kind of helped you or hindered you when it came to being the grown man that you are today?
I feel like it played a part. I wouldn't say it helped nor hindered, but I do feel like it altered how things could have went had I had a more present male figures. I don't get me wrong, I have had like male figures in my life that were close, like as far as like coaches, older cousins and stuff of that nature. But having one in the household, I'm pretty sure it would have kind of changed my perspective on things, and my outlook of life and how I handle certain situations.
Okay, so on this show, it's called Agree to Disagree, and
Right.
it's a free platform. You express yourself the way you express yourself, and this is all about telling your story and your truth.
Right.
Even if other people look at this video and say, nah, that's not true, it's all about how you experienced it and how it made you the person that you are. So
Right, because it's my truth at the end of the day.
Right, it's your truth. So my question is, how you said that not discrediting the father figures that you had, the male figures that you had, but how do you think it would have made a difference?
That's honestly a good question because with me not having it, I don't really know what I was missing. You know what I mean? But you hear a lot about people saying how it's important to have for young boys especially to have a male figure like close to them. Like, and when I say close, I mean like inside the household.
Mhm.
So it's really difficult for me to say what exactly I was missing because I didn't experience it.
Okay.
And that's just me going off, what I think and just my perspective on that matter. But to say what it is exactly, it'll be kind of difficult for me to say.
Okay, so that's a good answer. So my next question is, although you don't know what you were missing, can you look at yourself today, like as a man, when you look at yourself in the mirror, and it's not physically or anything like that, when you look at yourself, do you feel as though you look at yourself and say, if I did have this male or did my father in the house, and we're going to get off this conversation. Don't think it's going to be all about this.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, you're good.
So if when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you look at yourself and say, if I would have had a male figure, not discrediting the people that was around us, what you had, but if I would have had somebody to stay in the house with me 24/7, I mean, what would be different? Like, you think it'll be different, but how do you think that you would be a different person?
Um, okay, so I do have an answer for that. I
Yeah.
feel like I would have had more of a, I guess, a path paid for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I have to figure out like everything on my own. You know what I mean? Like when you growing up like in a home with a single mother and she trying to make ends meet and stuff like that. And then with her being a woman, like you only can relate to your mom so much, you know what I mean? With her being a woman and me being a male. Um, I feel like I would have had a more direct path rather than, I have to figure this out. I have to figure that. And discipline, I feel like discipline too. I probably would have been more disciplined as a young man
Okay.
instead of having to go through things in order to learn it. It would have been like, okay, well, I've been through this, so I'm gonna teach you this so you don't have to go through it. I had to go through a lot and learn on my own, just because I had to try stuff on my own. Like, can we curse on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you got to
Because I
say.
had to like try shit on my own. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I mean I had cousins, but you don't really listen when they aren't that close to you. It have a tendency to go in one ear out the other because like, oh yeah, it's my cousin. I know they mean well, but I feel like coming from your dad, your biological dad, it would hit different.
I feel that. So you brought up something, and I have this conversation with my husband, and I had like maybe a week ago, and you said that discipline. As kids, we don't really think that we don't, discipline is like you get on my nerves, like, leave me alone. I don't want to be disciplined. I'm a kid. But as an
Right.
adult, when we're older, we're making our own decisions. We're like, you know what? Looking back at our childhood, it could either be, yeah, I'm glad I was disciplined that way, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wish that I had more. So in your opinion, how do you feel? Do you feel as though discipline is important for children? And do you feel like it makes people who they are when they turn into adults? Or you feel like it
Oh,
don't matter?
oh, most definitely. Because I feel like discipline is a form of structure, like not necessarily hitting your child, but let's say like you have to be disciplined to stick with something because if you don't have that discipline or the self-discipline, if you don't have that discipline, you'll quit anything and just kind of wander off into the world. You know you won't have that foundation. So I played like basketball in high school for a little bit. It was very brief, but I feel like if I had more discipline, I would have stuck with it because it's like, oh, I don't have to do this shit. Like, I'm done with this. But
Okay.
because I didn't have a disciplined mindset.
So let me chime in a little bit. So me, on the other hand, I was raised very strict. So I
Right.
had a lot of discipline. So especially like being a child and a teenager, I didn't want no damn discipline. I wanted to be outside doing hood rat shit with my friends.
But okay, but were you raised with both parents?
I was not. I was raised
Okay.
by a single mother, and that was it. But she was just very strict on me. So I tried to, when I hear other people say that their parents wasn't strict at all and they allowed them to do what they wanted to do, I kind of like to hear, you know, their truth about it, because it's like me being a kid, I'm looking at everybody with no discipline. I'm like, y'all living a life. Y'all free, y'all outside, and I'm inside, bored and sad and depressed as fuck.
So look, I hate to interrupt you, but don't get the wrong impression. I was disciplined. I was disciplined by my mom. I was raised very strict. Like the shit that my friends was doing, I could not do. They was at parties and shit. I was at home, looking out the window, you know, depressed and shit. No, so don't get the wrong impression. I was disciplined, but I just feel like coming from a male figure, it probably would have been like different. It would have felt different, you know.
Okay, so now that you said that, you feel as though being like children who, well, do you feel as though it's both genders, like children, or just men or boys that grow up without a father in the household, or that's not disciplined or whatever, is they turn out different? Hold on, before you answer that, I want to say something. I feel as though a lot of people, it's a double standard, and I don't feel like that's right.
It
I
is.
don't feel like it should be a double standard. If I'm outside, like if a boy gets to go outside and hang out with his friends and go to the basketball court and be outside the movies and all that, girls should be able to do that too, especially if they're the same
Right.
age. So what do you
Right.
think? What's your opinion
About the double standards or
about the
just
double standards? Like, I feel like, you know, just me personally, I was a girl, so I couldn't go outside and roam the neighborhood like, you know, boys could. And sometimes, I don't know about everybody, but I know in the Black community they'll be like, oh, you're a girl, you can't do that, you know, you can't do what the boys do, you gotta. So I feel like sometimes girls are more disciplined, or they are held to a higher standard than guys, and I don't feel like that's fair.
yeah. I feel like girls, I feel like that's the reason though. I feel like because girls are held to a higher standards. Like if we out here like being goofballs and like just fucking around, we kind of get that boys will be boys type of thing. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the double standards because I would feel if my son went out and got a girl pregnant at 15, I would feel the same way if my daughter was to get pregnant at 15. Like it's no difference to me. Like
Okay.
even though she holds the responsibility of raising the child, you know, and the guy, you know, he has the leisure of being there or not. Like it's still the same. My child is having a child.
Yeah,
You know what I
at
mean?
15.
At 15, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like it's the same. It's really the same. Like you know what I'm saying? Um, and I feel like with guys, like they will have a tendency to get in more trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really the only thing that people I feel like in the Black community worry about raising a little girl, guys messing with them. That's it. They not thinking, but you know, it's so much shit that can happen with boys, like fights. Somebody can get shot. You know, boys they have a lot of testosterone, and sometimes it get the best of them, and shit happens. You know, so I feel like it's the same. I feel like it's the same. I don't agree with the double standard.
Okay, so if you don't agree with the double sided of boys and kids and girls, what about adults? When we start talking about adults, it's definitely a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, I feel like men, oh my gosh, first off, are you watching BMF right now?
No, I see clips and I see memes, but I'm not watching.
Okay, so I won't use that example. Well, I will. I'll tell you how I perceived it, and we'll talk about it. So there's a clip. I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but I will say there's a clip, a part where the dad is, you know, he's
He was
cheating on
wilding.
his wife.
He wilding.
He's cheating on his wife. So my thing is, and I'm not seeing enough uproar. I'm not seeing enough uproar on about that situation on social media for me, because I'm like, if he was a girl doing that to her husband, oh Lord, it'll
You
be
think so?
everywhere. What?
No, because
Yes.
just think back to Jada and Will. They was clowning that man. They was not on Jada ass for that shit. for her entanglement.
They was on Jada ass. They was,
but it was a lot of it was a lot of people that was on her side too, though. Same with Sweetie saying that if she have a threesome with Quavo, it'd have to be another nigga. People went on her ass for that, and that's some wild shit.
Okay, but listen, that's the thing. We listen to songs and stuff all the time about men talk about how many bitches they fuck and how many and you know they got 3 bitches at the same time, and everybody like, yeah, that's my
so
shit.
we speaking
That's
on
my
double standards,
shit.
right?
But Megan Thee Stallion do it, she a hoe.
Okay, okay. So let me address that. Although I don't like to agree with no double standards, I understand it though. I don't agree with it, but I understand. Okay, let's say we can take any man in the world versus any woman in the world. If they were to see who can go have sex with the most people in a week's time span, no man would win. And there's a reason for that. Because I hate to say this, but I mean, all women have to do is exist to get sex. All they have to do is exist.
Hold on, wait. Repeat that. I didn't understand that. If they did what?
If it was a competition, you paired people up and see who can have the most sex out of this man or this woman, just random people, the woman will always win.
If they can, because she can have more sex?
Yeah. With more people within a certain time frame.
What? You
don't think so?
Serious?
Yeah.
Please explain, because I'm confused. It's no way that you think that a man, if you compared a man and a woman and say they can have sex with many people, the woman is going to have more sex than a man.
No, I said she can. I didn't say she will.
Oh, she can. Okay.
She can. Because, I mean, a man actually has to put in work in order for a woman to want to have sex with him. Women don't necessarily have to put in work for that. Because men, for the most part, pursue women. Okay, let's say if you see a group of men in the club versus a group of women, a group of men that look good or a group of women that look good, who's gonna get approached the most? The women, right?
You think so?
You don't.
I mean, but listen, even if she get approached, that don't mean she can have more sex.
I'm saying she will have, I feel like a woman can have more opportunity if she wanted to. If she wanted to. I'm not saying that
How do y'all think it's so easy for women to get sex versus men? You know, some women be wanting, you know, some women be wanting it and it be hard, men be hard to get too.
What kind of man is she going for? Is she going for like guys of high status, like, you know, like guys who have things like going for themselves, or just some random fling? Women can get way more random flings than men. It's easier for them. All they have to do is throw on a bust down, do their makeup, push their bra, and it's a go. It's a go.
I guess, child. I don't know. We're gonna have to get back on this double standard topic.
Okay.
We're gonna have to get back on that because that's crazy. But okay, so let's switch up the subject a little bit. So
okay.
Life be lifing, and you know, it's not always peaches and cream. Like sometimes we up, sometimes we down. So let's talk more about the things that you've went through in your lifetime, and how you like went through it, got through it, how you felt while going through it, and give us just something that somebody watching this video will probably be like, dang, I've been through that too. And let me give you an example. Let me give you a reason. I feel like from my personal experience, when I go through things, like I'll say a few years ago, not a few years ago, but a while back, years ago, I was going through like one of my hardest times in my life, and I had never experienced anything like that. So, but it made it even worse when I felt like everybody else was just, out having fun, enjoying their life, and I'm actually going through shit. It wasn't until I realized that, that I started talking about it and I realized that other people go through the same shit, like,
Right.
or other people go through things that they just don't, either talk about or whatever. But when I did start to tell my story, or I did start to talk to people, they're like, oh, I go through that too. I go through that too, or I went through it too. And it made me feel a little better. So can
Right.
you share something with us that you may have went through? You don't have to go all into detail, just what you feel like sharing, and something that you went through that, and how you got through it.
Oh, I can't even think of nothing off bad that I just went through.
Okay, so how was the do you have a tattoo shop right now?
Oh, I don't have a shop. I actually just lost my shop.
Okay, so tell us about that if you don't mind.
Okay, so I had a tattoo shop. When I first moved into the tattoo shop, it was me, two of my partners, and we had maybe like 3 or 4 artists. So it's like 6 or 7 of us at this time. And just by the way that things was going like within the shop, like as far as us like not putting in all the energy or effort collectively. When I say that, I'm referring to the owners.
Okay.
We're not putting in the effort collectively in order to, keep our, I don't want to say employees, our coworkers, because I don't like to say that they work for me. I like to say they work with me. So we wasn't putting forth the effort in order to keep them happy. Like, they were in the building stage. We were more so established. So, we had these promises to them like, hey, look, in this time frame, we'll be here. You won't have to worry about this. You're going to grow. And they wasn't seeing the growth, I guess, because of our lack of leadership. Well, lack of collective leadership. I won't say individually. And long story short, we lost everybody. So then it became a financial burden, and we all like kind of just went our separate ways. We all went our separate ways, and all had to like do our own thing. Everybody found a home in different locations, and yeah, that was pretty much it. I've only been here since like February the 7th, so it hasn't been that long since I've been here.
Okay, so how did that make you feel to lose something that means so much to you? I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I know that starting stuff up is not easy. Actually,
Right.
keeping going is even harder. So you put all this work into it and you think okay, let's try it out, let's see how it's gonna go, and then it doesn't work out. How does that make you feel? And how do you just get up? How do you get up and keep going?
So initially, when I saw the downfall, when I saw it, the things going downhill, of course I was hurt. I'm like, dang, like I put in all this work, I spent all this money, all this time, and it's not working. But after a while of trying to save something that you see is like, I'm just slowing down the inevitable. You know what I mean? Like it was going down, and there was nothing I can do to save it because um, it's hard to get artists. You know what I mean? Especially established artists. When you are trying to start something new, you can't go for the best. You have to like start from the bottom and kind of work your way up. And even with artists, you have to get like artists that's working their way up, and you have to find people that you're willing to build with and that's willing to build with you. So initially I was hurt. But once I weighed the options and saw what I could gain from losing it versus what I was getting, like I could gain more from losing it than keeping it and try to hold on to something that was already fading. So after a while, I felt like it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Initially, I was hurt, but then it was. I come to see now that it was really a blessing because the location I'm at now is like completely different. The vibe is different. It just feel different. It feel way better, and it feel like a burden was lifted off my shoulder once I actually lost it. I was scared to lose it at first, but then once I lost it, I felt better.
Okay. So, I mean, and I can agree with that because it's like sometimes we do feel like when we lose something or something don't go the way that we plan it, it hurts us, of course. That's just normal. And I've actually learned that we actually, as people, when things don't work out or work out the way we planned, it's called grieving. Like we actually grieve what we thought would be. And so I'm sure you had to go through a grieving process, but to come out and, you know, be in an even better situation than you was, that must feel great.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So before we go, I want to ask you one thing. If you could talk to any entrepreneur who has put their all into something and it's not going the way they wanted it to, or it's not happening the way they planned it or they saw it in their mind, what advice would you give to them?
So I believe that success has many fathers. And when I say that, I mean it's not one way to do something. So if you're trying something and you're trying to stay on this particular path, sometimes it's okay to step out your comfort zone and try something different in order to get something to work. Sometimes comfort isn't the place where we need to be. Sometimes we have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. You know what I mean? Because that's going to push us to do stuff differently and get different results. Because if we're just trying one thing, and we're getting the same results, that's what it's going to be. So don't be afraid to try new stuff or try different methods to get to the place that you want to be.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this talk that we had, and I'm gonna end it here. But before we go, I want to give you a chance to shout your business out, let people know where to find you, where to follow you at, and let them know what you do, who you are, and that's about it.
Okay, I'm Rico Riascos. You can find me on Instagram at is that backwards?
Nah, you good. We can see it. Reiko the artist.
Reiko the artist. That's REIKO, the artist. Yeah, get at me for all type of arts, tattoos, murals, you know, in-house murals, business murals, anything.
Anything. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank you for being my very first guest on Agree to Disagree with Iesha.
Thank you for having me.
And we will talk soon.
Okay. Thank you. Look forward to it.